Evening all, welcome back to Space Engineers. So today we have, look at this, it's growing like a kind of cancerous polyp on the buttocks of fate. This this ship is now growing every day. I have built something on the front. You may see it. It's a I guess an industry platform. So you would fly this ship to a asteroid, and oh look, we have an asteroid I prepared earlier. And you would then disassociate the rig from the large ship and land it on the asteroid. And this then becomes a kind of mobile mining operation, also mobile parts production, etc. This was something I was thinking about, was modular ships. You may recall in the last video that we were talking about modular ships. And modular ships are obviously a really cool thing. That's what we've done with this ship at the moment. You've obviously got the detachable miner, which is fantastic. You've got the ship production facility at the back, and then you have now this wonderful thing called a rig. I've called it a rig. And it's all wired up. It's a huge industrial rig at the moment, but think about it, you can actually have this as a mobile base of operations, and once you've built it as a blueprint to the extended ship, so your capital ship, what you then effectively could do is actually just produce these. If you had the right gear in that, you could produce these on a larger or smaller scale so that you colonize asteroids as you go. So every single asteroid that you pass, you can drop one of these on it so that you have a base. It's a pretty big thing, as you can see. It's a pretty big rig, and it's only part finished. So look at that. So basically I'm upside down now. It's not completely finished because it's supposed to have solar panels on the top to power it. It's going to have also a laser antennae, but yeah, it's awesome. I love it. I'm really quite excited about this. And look, it just detaches from merge blocks, so I've just switched off the merge blocks. It's only got some weak, crappy engines, so bear that in mind. It's not the most powerful thing ever, but it gives it's an interesting concept, and this is just a complete prototype. So what we do is we've detached, and now we spin it around. So Close Encounters of the Third Kind. We now spin around, and there we go, we're the right way around now, and then we start to descend on the asteroid. This game, man, and look at that, it looks pretty sweet, doesn't it? It's like a proper little industrial rig. It's got it's got all of the industry you could ever need: 2 refineries, a number of arc refineries, 4 I believe. I think it's got 8 assemblers, it's got a nuclear reactor, it's got a large cargo can, it's got connectors, it's got landing gear, which doesn't really work, as you're about to see. And really, this is kind of the beginning. So I have blueprinted this, and you can see, oh, it looks sweet, doesn't it? I just love it. I love this game, man. The idea being is that you could have a solar network on top, so you'd have a solar panel array that would then just power it continually. But more importantly, you could have a mining arm. So if you park it in the right place, you would then effectively have the ability to use an arm to mine. Does that make sense? And I don't know how stable it is. I've seen a lot of people use rotors, pistons, and miners to disastrous effects. But you think about it, you could move this rig every so often as well. So you could just, if you find the right asteroid, you could actually just sit it within the ring. So here, for example, we could have just put it right in the middle of the ring. Ooh, that sounds painful. And then just use the robotic arm to mine around. But what we actually ended up doing in this case, because I didn't want to mess about with pistons and such in this particular run through. So what I did is I just used the main miner ship and connected it to that connector on the left. So you can actually just use the miner ship and then blah 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 blah. Now this to me is probably one of the wonders of Space Engineers, is this ability to go and colonize space. So you can actually, claim each asteroid that you come to. You can fly your flag high and place your industry on it. And having rigs such as this, which I know it's probably quite a resource hungry thing, but when you think about it, you actually would mine all of the parts for this in about 10 minutes, if maybe less, because this asteroid I've parked on here is mostly iron. And that's pretty much the composite of what we're actually looking to do to build this thing. So hopefully that's clear, because I really am excited about this concept of modular ships. I love the way this thing looks as well. I just love the way it basically functions. Now, what I would say didn't work is the landing gear. As you can see, not working at all. So just connecting it to one was a very bad idea, because it shook itself to pieces. So bear that in mind. That is just a terrible thing to do. And what I did here was even more stupid, which was I switched the engines off, which was just ridiculously stupid. So there we go. So, you know, you live and learn. I would honestly not do this because for some reason it just smashed the rig to pieces, and you'll see that in a moment. But there we go. But there we go. So I've switched everything off and it's now connected. And this thing's ready to go. So you would start to go and mine, and you would then have basically a mobile base. You could even turn it into a station. That was something I was kind of pondering, was could you now turn it into a station, or rather build a station foundation below you on the asteroid, and then merge it together, then weld it together. Does that make sense? So you turn the ship immediately into a station. I would probably recommend that's the way to do it. But I actually thought, look at that, I'm on the planet, I'm on the surface. That's just so cool, isn't it? I love it so freaking much. That is the feeling I wanted to convey, was this feeling that I've actually got on the ground of a big asteroid, you know, to feel like you're actually on the surface of something. And look, I put gravity on. Now, one of the interesting things here is I've got both gravity generators, so I've got a spherical gravity generator as well. So if you actually get a big enough, round enough asteroid, you could park this in the middle, and then you've got effectively a very nice little spherical gravity generator. So you could actually just run around the entire length of it. But look, here we go. This donut is basically all iron with a stone crust, which is pretty cool. One of the interesting things as well is, one of the things that I think not many people have explored, and post in the comments if you have, is the ability to do, so for example, I park this rig in the middle of that base there, and then what I do is I just go out and start mining ore so that it drops into the middle. So the spherical gravity generator will grab all of the ore. You put what is it, connectors? No, not connectors. What are they called? The funnels, basically. You put loads of funnels around the gravity generator, and so any ore that falls towards the gravity generator is then immediately picked up. These are things that I'd love to do more of. I know at the moment you don't necessarily need to do that because the miners pick up the ore anyway, but you know, I do like the idea of it. So there we go. Fast forward, we now have established our little base. It looks pretty sweet. So we're going to go back to the ship and just bring the ship closer to the base. Now, one of the challenges I'm having is firstly those sensors. Those sensors annoy the crap out of me because it's just an on-off relationship. So it always does that. Pressurization is really freaking annoying. And I guess the final piece that really does drive me slightly insane is just the way that the rigs, the small, let me be clear, the small construction rigs that I built do not work. They always lose their landing gear grip on the larger ship. So every time I start flying away, they clatter about. Tell me what I'm doing wrong there, because one of them has never unlocked, but the others all do. Is it because it's just too heavy for one landing gear? I suspect it probably is. Maybe that's what I need to do. I don't know. So anyway, look, we're bringing in the SquadB flagship. It's looking pretty hot. I think you'll agree. I do love the concept of maybe even more modular design. So, for example, I was thinking of putting nacelles on the side of this ship. So you see the back rear quarter just above the ship production bay. I was thinking of putting 2 kind of torpedo frigates or something like that, or railgun frigates. Just something that when you need to, you can detach and basically fly away into PvP. And then again, the beauty of that is if they're relatively small large ships, which again doesn't make much sense, it means that you can lose them, and then you would just have the blueprint projector recreate the image. Does that make sense? Because I love building with the projector, has been the biggest revelation to me as of late, and it just makes life so much easier. I can't describe it. So here we go. We're going to detach our miner. This is again the further kind of example of how like a big mothership, capital ship, can kind of exist on its own, if that makes sense. And there we go. Look, we're going to break away from our moorings, and then we have our little miner ship ready to go and mine, you know, god tons of silicon and god knows what. I won't show you that because that's obviously very boring, but as you can see, this thing would connect there. Now, it's at this point I realized that this miner ship needs a bit of retrofitting, so I'm going to show you what I did here, because the miner ship, ironically, has only ever docked up into the flagship for this, and I didn't want to turn it round and then have a gravity field the wrong way around. So what I was going to do here was actually just take that conveyor system you see there and put it on a down path as well. Hopefully that makes sense, because the reality is that you do need to have both top and bottom connectors. So you see there, that's how it would connect. So it would basically connect on a much of a better way. So for this to work, as you can see, I was contemplating spinning it around, but as you can see, for this to work, you do need to have that that link. But I'm loving it. I think this game is by far one of the best creative sandbox games I've ever played. I do totally believe that. I think it makes Minecraft look very boring, in fact, because the thing about Minecraft is such a kind of fun game, but it's very singular. Oh, look at the damage. Look at that. See, that's the problem. This is the problem when you start to get close to asteroids, is that it starts to smash things. So yeah, that's not good. So I just start to run some quick repairs, but yeah, this is one of the problems of the rig, is that it's not terribly well designed. I know, shock horror, and it needs a little bit more. So for example, what I thought about in the end was, instead of having a flat rig that lands completely on the asteroid, what I would actually do is have a like a stand. So if you imagine like a table, there'd be long legs that go down, and then there's 4 landing gears, if that makes sense. Now the thing is, it doesn't necessarily work because we have to flip this thing upside down and then dock it with the mothership. It's not exactly the right way to do it. So yeah, but there we go. So I made a blueprint. Tell me if you want the blueprint. I will publish these. I've not really published them yet because just not really been asked, but if somebody does want the any of these blueprints, please shout and let me know. But I think definitely I would recommend giving this kind of gameplay a go, because you are just going to have so much fun with it. Space Engineers is currently, I think, about £20, so it's $18.99, which is about $25, and it's because it's so popular, that's why they've got the price high. But there has been instances where this game has been on sale for, I think, about £3, which is about $5. So I honestly would say, if you're not playing this game, you're missing out. So we go, in fact, one of the things I'm going to do is every time they do a 4-pack, so when they do the sale, I'm just going to buy it as a 4-pack, because a lot of people, I know in Steam haven't got this game, so I'm gonna give them away. So when it's cheap again, I'll buy a load of them, and we'll give them away, because sometimes I think some games can be quite expensive for what they are, and you would have to warrant it. And a lot of games you can't really warrant the expenditure on. It's why the free-to-play model's so popular, I guess. So there we go. We've built our little underground, or I guess underneath tubing, and it's looking pretty good. I'm still having to go back to the to the mothership for parts. That just makes me smile. But I think, again, the conveyor system is something that it's funny, when you build a ship, just make sure the conveyor system works first. That's the first thing to build. It's one of the things, because remember, I built this ship before conveyors. I think they were in. No, I don't think I actually don't think they were in, actually, now I think about it. I could be wrong, but I remember it was a long time ago. In fact, I'll tell you what it was. Conveyor blocks, I think, were in, but not the tubes. So you couldn't really build a conveyor system. In fact, now I remember, they weren't conveyors in, so there we go. So I built the SquadB flagship base design before the whole connector feature was implemented, so it didn't really work, so I had to retrofit it all. And I tell you what, I have spent hours just going back and building tubes through the ship. And this thing's the same as well. Look, so I've got to lose a flipping engine there, but I don't mind, because again, aesthetics are one thing, function is another. Form over function, I think, or is it function over form? I forget, but I think this is the kind of thing, so I need to make sure that it all works, but most importantly, it doesn't matter if it's a bit lopsided. There we go. Hope you enjoyed that. See you next time.